Now with 100% more ducks. Howdy folks, Grok the DuckFarmer here, and I'm on the FTOG Avant3 server, hanging out here at my power center. Yes, this is environmental tech. It's the tier 4 solar array. It's friggin' huge, and it produces a darn very nice good amount of power. Darn. And I love it. It's also fantastic to have it out here in the end, because it's always day out here in the end, and also there's no rain, there's no snow, there's no cycling of, you know, the daytime cycle. None of that. No. It's always day, and this produces. So yay, that works great. Now I've got my power storage down here, and there's some strange stuff going on here. I do like the input output, so I can see what's going on. I do like that. There's my little chunk loader, and yeah, there's something missing over here. I had completely forgotten that I had the matrix, the power matrix from Mechanism sitting here. It was a tiny thing, and looking at the tick profiler, it wasn't doing diddly squat, but we saw what a horrible thing happened with Nonsanity when he made his max-sized one, and it just killed the server performance-wise. It was bad. So Torgal the other day was saying, "Hey, whose is this?" And I said, "Oh, that's mine." "Oh, hey, that's a matrix." "Oh, let me go ahead and kill that with fire real quick." But since we don't have fire spread on the server, I just threw it over the edge into the void, and it's gone. And I happen to have 27 of these top-tier capacitor banks on me, so I just slapped them on there, and yeah, it's going like gangbusters. Now, this was what I had as far as non-matrix storage. And weird stuff, like for example, if I come into here and configure, and zit, I had set this up here, right? It's hard to see. Right below my quantum entangler, I had set that up to output. But several times, and particularly it seems like after I rebooted, after the server rebooted, this thing was no longer grabbing any power out of the system, and I came here and looked, and sure enough it was at 0, and all I needed to do was come to this and just reconfigure it again, and it worked. So I don't know whether it's an issue with the Ender IO or the Mechanism quantum entangler porter. I'm thinking the entangler porter, because this here, the dimensional transceiver, was receiving and sending power just fine. So I have power woes. I have issues with power, and the question then is, well, what do I do? Really spoiled with the Tesseract from Ender Utilities in 1.7. I really like that. It's just infinite power. As fast as you can put it in, it's coming out. I really like that. So, options. What can we do as far as power? Well, there's Quantum Flux has the RF exciter. This little dilly-whacker right there. You can go ahead and slap multiples of these, and you know, it's not like this. These are hard to make. They're not hard at all. They're easy. This was something I never thought was all that interesting to use. So I know Nonsanity uses a bunch of these. Never went that way. So also Ender IO has the dimensional. There we go. The dimensional transceiver. And these are kind of Tesseract-like in that you can do items, fluid, power, any distance, dimensions, it just works. And the recipe is not bad. You know, electrical steel, I've got an alloy smelter, I can just make those. The Ender resonator, I've made tons of these, so that's not an issue. Octetic, I've got a recipe for that, just fuse quartz, no problem. The Ender crystal, you know, that's not hard. Vibrant, you know, that's easy to make. And then just grab an Enderman in a soul vial and pump it through the soul binder. Done. It's not hard, but it's more steps than I really care to do. And there's only one real problem I have with this, in that this has a max IO of 41,000 RF per tick, which I'm not really doing that right now. In fact, you can see it's in and out, it's about 13K, and that's only because I'm repairing something right now. Normally it would be lower than that, but so I'm not really using that much power, but I like having no limits. You know, I'm call me lazy. I like having gobs and gobs of stuff going in and out. It is nice. You know, I can do all sorts of things to send back and forth, and that I like. But I really haven't used it for that, mainly because I'm not shooting things back and forth too much between dimensions or locations. So, you know, not really using that too much. The other one, and I made a few of those. I don't know, like 4 or 5 of those, and the last one comes from Mechanism, and that's the Quantum Entangloporter. And I love the name. That's just fun. Quantum Entangloporter. This beastie can also do, let's see, oh, interesting. Didn't really give me the description of what it can do. This one can also do power and items. In fact, if we come take a look at this guy here, I've got it set up for me. It can do energy, it can do fluids, it can do heat, as well as gases. And this right here is items. So any of those things it can do, which is pretty slick. And right now I've got it set up for energy. It's all inputs. So, you know, it's just grabbing energy, and then it can output this to any other quantum entangloporter anywhere. And as near as I can tell, there is no limit as far as input output. I've not noticed any. It seems to work just zoom and away it goes, which was one of the reasons why I wanted it to be attached to this capacitor bank. I tried putting it directly against the matrix output port, and nothing went through. So I said, okay, I need a cable, but I've been avoiding those matrix cables because they've been causing me issues. So I said, okay, fine, let me go ahead and grab one of the, let me come around here, one of these Ender IO conduits, and these do 20K, so that's kind of maxed out there. But is, you know, that limits me even less than these guys here. The let me through. The dimensional transceiver, because that's 40K and that's 20 now. So I just kind of get why. So that was causing a real issue. So I went ahead and had my matrix pump into this bank of 6 capacitors, and then that was attached to that, and it worked just fine. Why that's changed now, I couldn't say. So I definitely want to change things around. I also, because this is in a weird configuration now, I want to set this up so it's better. It's more of a cube or a chunk as opposed to this weird shape. And, you know, I'm using some of these and I'm using some of those. I would like one power system, if at all possible. And so I think I have settled on something to try. Let's go back to my base. Yay, eventually back at my base. Okay, so here there's one other method of transferring power that I haven't looked at yet. That's the power cell. So this is from RFTools, and this one here, this the beginning one, it can store, look at the zeros, so that's 1,000,000 RF, which is nice. It does have a distance power cost, which is not so good. This one here, the advanced, this does 4,000,000 RF per block, which is nice. And creative, well, you know, not going to be able to do creative, but I need to make this. So let's take a look at this power cell. It's just a machine frame, because, you know, everything is machine frame. And then that's not bad at all. The advanced is just the lower one with this infused diamond, and that's just dimensional shards. But that's not bad. This power cell card I need, and that's cheap and easy too. So let's go ahead and make 2 of these for right now. And then let's go ahead and make 2 of these. So 2 of those, and then 2 of these. And I've got the Prismarine thanks to Torgal, which is very handy to have those about. And then I need 8 of these. So there's 8 of those, and let's go ahead and make my pair of these, because I might as well go to advanced as fast as possible. And what I understand, let's come over here and hook it up to power. So let's take you and stick you there, and you are set to, let's just insert power. And if we look at this, currently it's got no power coming in. All right, let's see, all sides are taking in. Oh, there it goes. So we had to hit this so that it would accept power. So we're getting some power in here. Now, this is where I'm not quite sure, because I've seen guys use this, and I've not really been paying that much attention of exactly how. So I'm going to have to pay attention now. So I happen to have, nothing on me. Let's put a power cell there, and let's go back over to, yes, I do have this cover here, which is why I don't access it from here. And nobody's confessed to doing it. And I would love to give them credit for having done it, but you know, I love it. I think it's great. So capacitor bank, let's snag that puppy. And there's nothing in it. So let's go ahead and slap that here. And we will configure this for out. So if this is working from here to there, that should start going up. And let's, so we can see the IO on that. So to get this to work, I think installed module, that's not what I wanted to do. Unless this brands that, and then I link this, so they're both 52, and so now I can slap that here, and look at that, just boom, it just grabbed some energy, and it's going in. So there's the 20K per tick, it's just ripping in, which is mighty nice. And this shows that because I've got 2 of these power cells hooked together, they are now holding not 4 million but 8 million RF, which is very nice. So I'm thinking this is kind of the way to go. So let me break that, and yeah, so the power that's in the cell network just kind of went through. So let's break that, and let's go back to the end, and let's see how it goes there. Alrighty, so I'm thinking I like this mega structure, so let's go ahead and break all these down. And I'm going to have to make sure that everything's hooked up again. Otherwise, I'm going to lose power to my nanobot beacon, and that's bad because I like to be able to actually fly, because, you know, that, yay, flying is great. Let's go ahead and make a big tower of power here. Didn't stack anything worth a darn here. So doot. And there's 3. Go 3. And I need a couple more. Don't go that way. You and you and you. 2 more. All right, so these 2 there. So let's right click that. Okay, so there's the in and out. This is full. And if the thing I like about this is really fast transfer into the system. So that I like. Let's take this guy and slap him right there. And let's set him to in, and there goes the power. Boom. That's mighty nice. It will feed me power really quickly, and there's my ID 52. So from there, I should be good to go as far as feeding everything else on my network. I might as well just feed in the rest of these, because I've got them. Let's see, it's 4 for the 9. Yeah, I could put another layer right here. So let's go ahead and do that, because, you know, big and blocky, why not? All right, so you can go there, and 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 you, no, there we go. And last one, Let's go ahead and stick you there. All right, so there's my big block. This I want to hook back up. So let's go ahead and put him right there. And for grins and giggles, nope. Let's go ahead and put those there. This I need to configure to here. Let's see, energy doesn't need to eject, but it's all inputs, so that's good. Let's set this to insert and insert. So for right now, that will handle everything that it's powering, and it's getting 40K in. So that's good. Let's take these and we'll hook them up against this. Let's put you right there. Let's edit this guy and make sure that it's set to output. So this gets power too, because we always want to get power. And yes, I can see that the power is fluctuating up and down, so good. We'll put the teleporter here, and this is my end set. There have been a multiple number of times I have forgotten, I've moved it around and I've forgotten to set it again. So I had to get myself back here. So I think at this point, if I drop this here, now I've got 8 million RF stored in this, and this guy can convert the stuff as fast as possible, which is very, very nice. I think energy-wise I'm pretty good, but I think what I want to do is see if I can find every place that I'm using these and those and convert them to power cells. I think that will really, really help. The other thing too, though, is let me go ahead and grab this and grab this, and let's return back to the base, and I will infuse them. Since it's the RFTools, it loves to have shards in them. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that should be enough to infuse both of those. And if we sneak around here, there's my infuser, and I can start that infusing up. So it doesn't really say how much the bonus is, but since I've got the shards, I might as well go ahead and infuse them anyway. Why not? So that means I want to go ahead and get me a couple more, well, lots more of these advanced power cells. I'm thinking any place I have power, like this guy right here, which feeds my little buffer here. And the main reason why I've got 2 is just so I can see input and output. That's the only reason why. So I need a power cell there. And oh yes, I have something down here. Let's see. Yes, I've got one here powering my RS system. Do I have anything? No, you're getting powered from up above. Power. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out where all my power is coming from, and make sure that that's powering my teleporter. So yeah, I can get rid of a bunch of cables. Oh yes, I think I'm powering it through here. Yep, there. Oh, I'm using some of both. This one I think is using to send stuff, and this is power. So again, I can go ahead and swap all these things out and make me a couple more, probably a whole stack of these more. I'm trying to think of where all I'm using power. So I've got things sprawled out all over the place. So any place I'm using power, I'm making me one of these. And the benefit is every time I do, it's 4 million more energy that gets stored here. That will make a much bigger buffer for me for using power. I like that. I like generating a bunch of power, but more so than generating a bunch of power, being able to store the power to me makes more sense. Because if I've got something that can generate, say, 5,000 RF a tick, and I can store what I'm not using, so I've got several million kicking around, I'm great. I don't need super duper uber fast power generation if I've got storage. So, and it's pretty easy to make the storage. There, 100% infused. Next. So I'm going to let these infused. I'm going to make me a bunch more of these, and I'm just going to wander around my worlds and find where I've got these. And I'm curious what my final count will be. 9 hours later. Yeah. So what I ended up doing is I created for me 16 of these advanced power cells, and then I came to my machine infuser and I went ahead and dropped in a whole bunch of these dimensional shards in here, so it just automatically pumped it in, and then I just come by every so often and snag them out, and that worked out just fine and dandy. So they're all done, but let's run into the walls. Let's take a quick look at what I pulled out. Now these two, I went in here and zeroed out all the configurations. I went into my power and removed that, and here let's actually go ahead and delete that channel, and we'll delete that channel because don't need those anymore. So I've got nothing configured. These two I've got sitting here so that they slowly drain away all their power. It's 10 RF a tick to keep this stuff up, and so it's slowly burning that away. These 6 here are already cleared out. I found 9 other of these quantum entangleporters, so those are all pulled out. And here, let's grab all these things, shove them away, get away. And then each of these has been fully infused, and instead, well, here, if we drop one of these, plop, instead of doing 20,000 RF per tick, this will output 30, which is one of the benefits of getting them infused. So that's 50% more energy going out, which is very nice. And the other thing too, you can see I've got 56 million RF stored in all of these boys, and they each have the thing configured for them. They're all set to output on all sides, and they have nothing in their stats, at least. So I've got 5 more of these power cells that I can just drop anywhere I need them, and that should pretty much do me for power. I can't think of any place else where I'm doing it. So these two I'll let to just sit here until they fully drain out, and then they stack nicely. As far as power draws, if we come over here, the main base just kind of runs around this much. That's pretty much just the nanobot beacon is eating that much power. That's it. It goes up when I'm using some of these machines over here to repair or to process stuff, but otherwise it's pretty minimal here. Why am I running over there? Let's zip back to the end and see how we got things set up there. Hey, end. All right, so over here at the end, I've got this big stack is still sitting there. This is touched up against it, and this says it's pushing energy. I don't know if it is. Maybe not. And it looks like I need to get one more of these cyan stained clays to go right through there, so I don't see in stone. It's all cyan. So, but this puppy is the bulk of power. Well, bulk. This is all power for my network because coming through this device here, and yeah, you can see it's about 10.5 to 12 thousand RF per tick that's kicking on. Why that much? Because that other one I was showing you, it just was doing about 2. So where's the extra 8, 9 RF kicking in? That is a good question. That is coming from the RS system. So my refined storage is eating the rest of that. It's doing about 9,000 RS per tick, which is the same as an RF. So that's the bulk of my energy. And the reason why I'm using that much energy is because I have so many network transceiver-receiver pairs, and that's doing it for me. But that's okay, because this beastie here, I don't need you. Actually, I still need you. I was going to do something. Let's do that real quick. I do like Mechanism. I really, really enjoy the digital miner. I think the digital miner is fantastic as far as a tool for gathering resources. You know, hooray for that. Let's go ahead and make an anchor upgrade here. Alrighty. The other thing, I have been enjoying these teleporters because all I need is a block like this and a bit of power to it, and boom, I can go pretty much anywhere I want. Let's go back to the end, set teleport. And one of the things that's nice about this, spin around, there is this, supports this anchor upgrade. So let's do that. This will chunk load this area here now. So I can get rid of that chunk loader. So it's all within that. That's pretty spiffy, especially if you take the digital miner and you put the chunk loader on that. Even if you expend it all the way out to 32 by 32, you know, the full radius for the digital miner, that chunk loader will keep everything loaded for you, which is very, very sweet. So I do like the Mechanism, except the 5x ore processing is just a pig of resources on the server. It just kills the server really something bad because of those monster evaporation towers. The other thing too, a lot of the machines, as they're processing heavily, that's a local tick issue. You can cause some problems. You can turn that off with the manual config, but But the matrix, that just gave us the biggest grief of all. And so, you know, well, I guess I do kind of like the atomic disassembler too. That's a really good tool, but you know, it seems like we've got some issues here with the 1.10 Mechanism causing us grief. So, oh well, you know, we want to be good citizens on the server, so that's why we're adjusting everything here. The only place I'm using Mechanism is teleporting, mainly back and forth to my base or here. And I think that's pretty much it. I've got the disassembler, but I don't use that all the time. And I've got the digital miner, but I haven't cranked that out for quite a while, mainly because I've not had the need to gather resources. But that's okay. So power's done. I just need 2 blocks to put in here before I go to bed, and then I'll be done. Power solved. And it's a cool thing. I've never tried the RFTools mod for sending power, and I'm liking it. I'm liking how that's working. I wouldn't even need this massive cell bank of capacitors here, because I could store a lot of it right there inside the power cell. That is both transfer and power cell right there. I like it. I like it a lot. So anyway, this has been Grok the DuckFarmer here on the FTOG Avant3 server, having a blast with power. Power. And I hope you had fun too. Thanks for watching. Bye.